we're taking the AREX, and it is the express train. And this one is on KTX, and this is going to be an economy class. We are taking KTX again, but this time in first class.
And the seat was more than comfortable, but unfortunately there really was not a whole lot of leg room. And as you can see, we are passing by all of those intermediate stops. Infomercials is the best way that I can describe it. First class legroom. You could really sprawl out. Here's the tip that I was mentioning at the beginning of the video. What are we doing here? Yes, it's cold. Ugh. Hello and welcome to another episode of Mantar. Thank you all so very much for coming back. If it's your first time, welcome to the show. And today, my friends, we are here with the fifth and final installment of the Korea series, which as promised is a review of the Korean intercity rail systems. And now, having taken a couple of intercity rail systems in America and in Spain, I have a little bit of comparison to go off of, and I have a few thoughts. This is, of course, the rail system that took me in between the major cities in South Korea that I visited, Seoul, Busan, and Gyeongju. And I did do travel reviews of all three of those cities. So those are up on the channel now. So if you're interested to learn a little bit about cities in South Korea, if you're going to South Korea or you have ambitions to go visit, you can check out those videos after this. This video also reviews the AREX rail system, which takes you between Seoul's Incheon Airport and Seoul Station. And it is a very popular way to get into the city of Seoul from the airport. So we will go over all of that, and make sure you stick around to the end of the video, because at the end I have a really neat tip that was nowhere that I could find online, but is really helpful when taking the train from Seoul back to the airport. So you don't want to miss that. It saved me a lot of headache and it was a total surprise to me. So we will get into all of it, but first, your quick friendly reminder: if you like this content, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button. It is of no cost to you, but it is tremendously helpful to me. Also, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that little notification bell so you do not miss future Mantar videos. I know you don't want to miss future Mantar videos. My next video will be back in the United States for a little stateside destination. It's one of my favorite towns in the US to go and visit, so do keep an eye out for that. And much more to come in 2025. We have some plans in the works. So without any further ado, here is my experience on Korea's intercity rail systems in October 2024 on the latest episode of Mantar Global, starting right now.
Well, hello and welcome to Seoul's Incheon Airport. I literally have just arrived in South Korea. It was a 13-hour flight. It was very long. I am very tired. But from my research, it seems that taking a taxi to the hotel from Incheon Airport is not necessarily the way to go. I have seen recommendations all over the place to take the express train from the airport nonstop from airport to Seoul Station. So that is what we're going to try today. We're taking the AREX, that's the company, AREX. You can see the sign behind me, and it is the express train. We will be boarding, it's about 7 o'clock now. We will be boarding at about 7:29. So come along with me for this first of the Korean train series. Let's see what the Airport Express looks like.
So to be clear, there are two possible train systems you can take from Seoul's Incheon Airport to Seoul Station. The first is what I described as the express train, which is the train that I took. That is the non-stop service from Seoul's Incheon Airport to Seoul Station, meaning there are no intermediate stations. And the other option is the all-stop train. Now, there are some key differences we'll get into about those two trains, but obviously the major one is that the all-stop train has intermediate stops. There are, I believe, 11 intermediate stops on the all-stop train. It is, of course, cheaper than the express train, but it does make more stops. So I bought my ticket for the AREX Express from these orange machines, and that is, as of the taping of this video, the best way to differentiate. The orange train is the express train. Everything branded in orange is the express train. And I got my ticket, which costs 9,500 Korean won, or about $7, depending on the exchange rate. So yes, as I mentioned, the express train has assigned seating, which is not a feature of the all-stop train. So that is another reason to take the express train. The all-stop train looks more like a subway, to be honest, and you can pay your fare for the all-stop train with a T-Money card, which you cannot do on the express train. You need a specific ticket for the express train. But $7, it's not an expensive ticket. So unless you're traveling to one of the intermediate stops, which I imagine most tourists aren't, I would take the express train. So anyway, with my ticket in hand, I passed through the fare gates and went down to the platform. And for anybody who watched my Seoul or my Busan video, the platform looked very similar to their subway systems in that they had the glass exterior doors on the platform that would only open when the train doors were open, which will stop any accidental or unfortunately sometimes intentional humans falling onto the tracks. So I boarded the train and found my seat in car 1, seat 3D. And the seat was more than comfortable, but unfortunately there really was not a whole lot of leg room. So luckily it's a 51-minute ride, so it's really not the biggest deal in the world. And there are overhead luggage racks, as you can see, as well as luggage racks for bigger pieces of luggage at the end of the car. I probably should have put my suitcase in the luggage rack at the end of the car. It was a big suitcase, but I was jet lagged and discombobulated, so I probably just wasn't thinking and threw my bag up on the overhead. But with the big bags, you're better off at the end of the car putting them on the large luggage racks. And we headed out making only one quote-unquote intermediate stop, which was Terminal 1 in the airport. I was boarding at Terminal 2. That's not really an intermediate stop, that's just the other terminal pickup. And we were off into the Korean evening at a very, very good speed and making our way into Seoul. As you can see, we are passing by all of those intermediate stops that the all-stop train would be stopping at, so I think we made the right choice getting the express train. And before you know it, 51 minutes later, we were arriving in Seoul Station in downtown Seoul. It was a really quick, really easy trip. I'm glad I went for this express train, which again cost me about $7 because I imagine a 51 or more, depending on traffic, minute ride in a taxi cab would have cost me a lot of money. So that's pretty much it for the AREX. It's simple, but it's effective. And like I said, stay tuned to the end of this video because I will share with you a tip specifically for taking the AREX Express train from Seoul Station to the airport that is a huge lifesaver. So anyway, at that point, I was in Seoul for the next 3.5 days. You can see my video on Seoul and my video on my trip to the DMZ. Both are out on this channel, but we are going to skip that for now because I already have those videos and go on to the first trip I took on the KTX high-speed rail system from Seoul to Busan.
Okay, and welcome to Seoul Station. This is going to be the second of 3 trips on Korea's rail system and the first on KTX. So the last one was on the airport railroad and this one is on KTX. So we are boarding the 3:58 train to Busan, and this is going to be an economy class. The next train that we're going to take is going to be in first class. It's going to be KTX from Gyeongju to Seoul because I'm going to the airport. So let's see what this is all about.
So my train was announced on time and we headed on down to the platform. And I boarded at my assigned car, and look at the floor. It's a little bit dirty and scuzzy, kind of like the subways in Seoul. I didn't even notice it as much when I was there, more than when I'm reviewing it on the video. But anyway, I made my way to my seat, which was 10C, and the seat kind of resembled sort of an Amtrak looking seat to me. It was comfortable enough. It could have probably been reupholstered. It looks like the seats have seen many days and could potentially use a little freshening up, but no matter, it was comfortable. The legroom was pretty decent, a lot better than the legroom on the AREX Express. And the seats came with a power outlet, a tray table, a footrest, and a pretty decent recline. As far as travel accommodations and seat reclines go, I was very, very happy with this one. And on the KTX train, I made the right move of putting my large suitcase in the luggage racks at the end of the car, the larger ones, rather than the luggage racks on top, which honestly, the suitcase probably wouldn't have fit on those luggage racks on top. So definitely made use of the ones at the end of the car. And so just like that, right on time, we were pulling out of the station and heading into the Korean countryside. Now, what's really funny is that their safety video that was playing on all the screens featured these cutesy little cartoon characters, which are ubiquitous in Korea. Everything is displayed with like little cutesy cartoon characters. It's like, I feel like it's like a very Asian thing. Like, I feel like other Asian countries do that like cartoony thing, but that was certainly how the safety video was displayed to us. And then for the remainder of the ride, those TV screens were showing like infomercials is the best way that I can describe it. They were like cringy little like 5-minute long form commercials. And before you know it, we were arriving in Busan and heading off the train for my next few days, which I would spend in that city.
Okay, and that was economy class on the KTX from Seoul to Busan.
Okay, so like I said, I did take another economy class KTX train from Busan to Gyeongju, but it was the same experience, so no need to repeat ourselves. So now, our last KTX experience was first class from Gyeongju back to Seoul.
Okay, and welcome to Gyeongju Station and our last rail trip of this Korea journey. And today we are taking KTX again, but this time in first class up to Seoul. So let's see what that's all about.
Look at that. I'm wearing the same outfit right now that I was wearing then, the t-shirt and hoodie thing. But then I had an excuse. I was going to the airport to take a 14-hour flight to New York. I have no excuse now other than it's cold and I just want to wear my hoodie. But anyway, I made my way onto the platform, and for the first time I got a glimpse of the train entering the station because I was not boarding at a terminal, and I made my way into the first class car. So I found my seat, which as you can see is definitely a bit wider, upholstered in red, although the upholstery again looks a little worn, a little dated. Maybe reupholster those seats, just a suggestion. And the first thing I noticed is that although the economy class had very decent legroom, it did not compare at all to the first class legroom. You could really sprawl out in this seat. So it is excellent legroom. And I would expect nothing less for paying a lot extra to take this first class ticket. The other amenities were similar, the power outlets, the tray tables, the luggage racks. There was not a whole lot of difference. The culture of absolute silence on the train was in full force. I'm telling you to listen, even though you're not gonna have sound on this clip. But if you did, you would be listening to nothingness. So about halfway through the trip, I was like, surely there is some kind of food service. It can't just be extra legroom. I did pay a premium for this ticket, and usually first class means some sort of food. So I took to the internet to find out if there's food service on the KTX first class ticket, and the answer is yes and no. More so no. So there is no hot food service, there is no beverage service, there is nothing like that kind of service. What you get is you get a free bottle of water and you get a free snack box. The snack box came with little chocolate chip cookies and nuts, and you had your bottle of water. So that is the amazing amenity that KTX first class gives you. I'm going to say it right now, it's not worth it. Other than the legroom, it's basically like flying economy on a short haul flight in the United States. Like, you're lucky you get a bag of peanuts. Now shut up. But okay. I didn't complain. The cookie was fine. The nuts were fine. The water was hydrating. What are you gonna do? At least I didn't have to pay extra for that. And before you know it, we were arriving in Seoul Station and heading off the train, and in my case, heading over to the AREX Express to take that train back to Incheon Airport.
And that's going to do it for the rail journeys.
So what do I think about the rail service in Korea? Well, we'll start with KTX. I have two thoughts about KTX. One, it is very efficient, it is very on time, and it will get you where you need to go, no problem. So I would say if you are touring around Korea, particularly if you're going between Seoul and Busan, the KTX is the perfect way to travel between those two cities. Neither of those cities requires you to have a car. I also went to Gyeongju, which you can get to on the KTX. You don't have to have a car in Gyeongju, but you are going to be more reliant on taxi cabs and or the bus. So just know that in Gyeongju, but we'll put an asterisk on that one. As far as between Seoul and Busan, because those are the cities that tourists are most likely to frequent, you do not need a car in either of those cities, so I would highly recommend using the KTX train. It is a 2-hour and 40-minute ride, and it is easy, easy, easy. Now, my second thought about KTX is it is about the efficiency and the ease. It is not about the experience. There isn't much of an experience. Other than the views out the window, which are very pretty and you can see how fast you're going and you get the rolling hills of the Korean countryside, all of that is nice, and it's certainly nice to be in a train where the culture is, shh, be quiet. That was nice and peaceful, but there's no frills, there's no nothing. It's just what it is. I suppose if you're in economy, you can go to a vending machine. That's the best that they got for you. So don't ride KTX looking for an experience. You won't get one. The staff doesn't even interact with you. They don't even interact with you insofar as to check your ticket, much less any other kind of interaction. So it's not about the experience. It's about the efficiency and the expediency of getting from point A to point B, and that's fine. I would not recommend springing for first class. In my opinion, as of the taping of this video, if they don't revamp their first class, it is not worth the money. The only thing that comes close to being worth it is the extra legroom. But Korea's not even that big of a country for you to have like 6, 7, 8-hour train rides. Seoul to Busan is one of the longest routes, and it's under 3 hours. So I mean, unless I'm wrong, maybe there's like a 6-hour ride that goes in a weird direction, but barring that, there is no reason to take first class. It's really not worth it to pay extra to get a cookie and some nuts and some water. You know, like, spend a couple bucks, buy a bottle of water in the station before you get on the train, or buy it at the vending machines if such vending machines exist. I have no personal experience of the vending machines myself. But yeah, it's not worth it. Just sit in economy. Economy has assigned seating, so you're not clamoring for a seat like on Amtrak. It's more than fine to sit in economy. I would not spring for first class again. Now, my thoughts on the AREX are a little bit different. That serves a major purpose. It saves you from taking a taxi cab from Incheon Airport into downtown Seoul. Incheon is Seoul's airport, but as the name suggests, it is actually in the city of Incheon, which is right next to Seoul. So you do actually have to go between two cities when you're going from the airport to Seoul. So that is majorly worth it. And like I said, it's a pretty fast train, and it was still a 51-minute ride. So a taxi cab would be long and probably expensive. So the AREX is definitely something I would recommend. I did not take the all-stop train, but I would venture a guess that you want to take the express train. It was $7. It's not expensive. I would say take the express train. Just, you know, you really, okay, the all-stop train is like $4. It's not worth it to save the $3 and make the extra stops and not have an assigned seat. And it's more like a subway train type thing. Maybe you don't even get a seat if it's packed. Take the express train. It's more than worth it, and it's nonstop. So on my way back to Incheon Airport, and I'm not going to go through the review because it was the same train, but here's the tip that I was mentioning at the beginning of the video. When you go into the AREX terminal in Seoul Station, there is a little row of airline check-in desks in Seoul Station before you get on the AREX. And if you have an AREX Express ticket and you are flying on one of the airlines that has a check-in desk in the station, you can check in for your flight and you can check your luggage right there at the station. So that, and I had not seen that on any internet site. It was a total surprise to me. I had no idea that was a thing. And I was like, oh my God, I can give you my luggage. And the next time I saw my luggage was in JFK Airport. So keep in mind, I'm in Seoul Station 51 minutes by train from the airport. but they checked my luggage for me because I was flying Korean Air, which was one of the check-in desks that's available at the station. Not all airlines will have that, so you have to have an airline that is available at the check-in desks at Seoul Station. So check your airline and check if it's there, but if your airline is there, you can do this and check in for your flight and check your bags. It's an amazing service. Now, for my Americans on this, there are no US-based carriers that have this check-in service. It is Korean Air, Asiana Air, which is the other Korean airline, some local Korean airlines, Lufthansa randomly, and a couple of other Asian airlines. So keep that in mind, but I was flying Korean Air, so I had the opportunity to do this. Now, also one caveat about this, because you are obviously checking your luggage in at Seoul Station, and the luggage has to be transported from there to the airport. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they truck it over, or maybe there's some secret luggage compartment on the AREX train that I don't know about. I don't know. But since you're checking your luggage rather far away from the airport, you do need to check your luggage 3 hours before your flight if you're in Terminal 1, or 3 hours and 20 minutes before your flight if you're in Terminal 2. So if you want to make use of this service, you need to be at the station checking your bags at least 3 hours before your flight. So bear that in mind. The other incredible service that is offered at this station is once you've checked your bags, you can go straight to an immigration agent, which is a formality you have to do to leave South Korea. You do need to check with immigration. They need to check your passport and all of those formalities. But most passengers would have to do that as part of the airport process. You can do it once you've checked in at your check-in desk at the station. You can pass through an immigration office where they will stamp you as good to go. And then all you have to do is get on your AREX train, and then when you get to the airport, you skip the check-in and you show the stamp from immigration from the station to the airport security, and you're able to go through without checking in with immigration agents. So it's a really, really great service, and it took me total like 15 minutes to go through all of it at the station, and I was able to then get on the AREX train with just my backpack, which was my carry-on, and then go through the airport as if I was doing TSA for a domestic flight in the United States. It was a really good service. So if you're flying Korean Air or some of the other airlines that have the check-in desk at Seoul Station, I would take advantage of this service if you are 3 or more hours before your flight. And now I've looked on the internet and I can find out about it. So can you. If you have questions, you can look at the internet and find out more. But it was not something that was like readily available to me when I was Googling AREX and like how to take the train from the airport. So this may have been something that is useful information to you if you're heading out to South Korea anytime in the near future. So yeah, with that, once I had checked in and gone through immigration, I boarded my AREX train and headed to the airport and headed back to the US. And that, my friends, is the final note of Mantar's journey in South Korea. I had a really interesting time in that country. Like I said, you can check out now, all available on this channel, my experiences in Seoul, in Busan, in Gyeongju, at the Korean DMZ. Very, very fascinating country. Things I liked, things I really didn't like. It was a lot of culture shock for me, but it was a really fascinating place. So do check out the other videos. I also have my review of Spain's Renfe rail system on this channel, as well as an entire Spain series. I loved Spain. Spain was great. Definitely check out that series. But if you're a train geek like me and you found this channel for the train video, definitely check out my video on Renfe. I will link it right here on the screen at the end of this video, so you can just click right on it. I also do have a review of Amtrak's Northeast Corridor in all classes of service on their Northeast regional trains and on the Acela trains. Very, very interesting. So that's available as well. So lots of good stuff already out on Mantar Global. And as I mentioned, my next video is going to be back in the United States in a really, really lovely city that I have grown to adore. So I can't wait to share it with all of you. That video is in process as we speak. So I can't wait for you guys to see it, and keep an eye out on this channel. You do not want to miss it. But until then, and until we meet again, everyone out there in YouTube land, have a wonderful afternoon, evening, night, morning, whatever time of day you're watching this. I love you all very, very much, and I will see you in the US in the next one. Bye-bye.